is where we assume they'll try to push drugs to keep us all dumbed down and hope that they will never see the truth around. Another promise, another scene, another package lie to keep us trapped in greed. Another green bells wrapped around our minds, and endless red tape to keep the truth confined. They will not force us. They will stop degrading us. They will not control us. We will be victorious.
Hello, party people. I love seeing people in the Chizats. We got, let me see, Miguel and Teresa. Who else? Andrew.
Just go, Mr.
Oh, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Hello to all and to all.
I just surprised Andrew with something life-changing. No, I'm not preggers. I'm going to visit him in Boston. Yay! I'm going to a family reunion in Beantown, and that's where my boy lives. So he's inheriting me for a few days at December 1st. If you live in Boston or the area and you want to hang out, I am going to, I'm like organizing loosely. It's not going to be like some big thing, but I want to get some people together while I'm there and just kind of meet at a pub and grab dinner or drinks or whatever, and just kind of, talk with one another and, meet other allies and just kind of just have fun with people. We're all so depressed, understandably. So, yeah, I mean, feel free to DM me on Twitter. My messages on Facebook, I don't check that regularly, to be quite honest, but yeah, definitely hit me up because I'll be going there. It'll be December the 1st. It's a Friday. It's a girl. Yeah. Andrew, it's a girl.
Yeah, no. And do a little.
And you just saw me like 6 months ago.
Yeah, it was
what a
6
treat.
months.
So we have lots of stuff tonight, as usual. But it's important that we remember that although all of us are consumed with Israel and Palestine, obviously genocide is kind of a big topic. We do also at Postmortem Breakdown like to also talk about labor and unions and things like that as well, because it's easy to be distracted, even if things are, on a bigger scale. We got to still pay attention to some of the things that are important. So Andrew, why don't you take away the first one?
Yeah, so right now, hundreds of us call center workers at ACA and Medicare federal contractor Maximus just went on strike in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. They're demanding pay of $25 an hour, affordable health care, and right to organize. And so here's the video
down!
of them.
Phones down! 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 Phones down!
Phones down. I like that.
What were they saying? Phones down? What?
Phones down, and then yeah.
I couldn't make out the other half, but
yeah, I can't make out the second half either. And so
I actually did the same job for years. I worked in a call center for ACA and Medicare. And it ain't easy. It's not. And hell yeah, solidarity to these people because, oh my God, first of all, being in a call center, that shit should come with free therapy because that was one of the hardest damn jobs I've ever done, if not the hardest. So hell yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you
Props
get
to
a lot
them.
of not only unhappy people but very distraught and yeah. It's
And to
not.
be honest with you, Medicare, especially as someone disabled, I just became eligible for Medicare a few months ago. And I have worked in health insurance for over a decade. And I'm so fucking confused with all these like Medicare Advantage and Part A, Part B. Like, I
Mhm.
literally used to take 40 hours a week, used to take these fucking phone calls and try to explain this shit to people. And I'm still confused. And I'm not being ageist. I'm just telling you that, like, a lot of the people that call you are elderly and hard of hearing. So if I, as someone who worked in it for over a decade, am like having to read shit 5 times to comprehend it, how do you think it is difficult as fuck in a call center to try and explain to people who aren't trained in, what you're trying to explain, and it's updated every fucking year. And I mean, this is a highly stressful job. So good for them for fucking doing this. Hell yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, and so I guess now we'll turn to, um, what's been going on with some things regarding Israel, Palestine. Um, we'll first start by reading a message from comrade of ours. Should I show it or should I just read it?
Yeah, you can show it.
Should I show? Okay, cool. I wasn't sure how much privacy or anything they wanted, but yeah, cool.
So
All right.
Amira is a friend of Andrew and mine. She is Palestinian American. And we've done many shows with her throughout the last few years. And I asked her if she'd be able to come on the show. And of course, she's busy as hell right now, especially because a lot of her family is still in Palestine. And I said, well, would you be able to write something that we could read? Because I figured that's the next best thing. So she did. So let's hear her message to us.
Yeah, so she says the outpouring of support and solidarity to Palestine and the Palestinian cause has been beautiful to see in such trying times. While I can't speak for everyone, from what I see, there is a turn in the tide. There is no act too small. Anything people can do to show their solidarity will make more of a difference than people think. This will all take time, but we have an opportunity to stand up for what's right. Everyone deserves freedom. Thank you to everyone that is doing their part. Much love to all standing for a free Palestine. Stay safe, take care, be kind to each other. Yeah.
Right on, Amira. We're
Absolutely.
sending our love and support for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I
did another. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say, so I yesterday went to my first Palestinian march rally that was in Boston. And it was the solidarity there, the crowds there, people who were driving by on the highway. There were a lot of people who honked in solidarity. So it was great to see the energy. I've obviously seen it on social media and on, TV, but, seeing it in person is always a good sort of confirmation in everything. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Saturday was Veterans Day. So there were events going on all across the world, and I couldn't find any going on in Harrisburg area. So I just created my own last minute, and I went by myself. I was like, whatever, I don't fucking care. So I just made a free Palestine sign, and I just made like a little flyer myself and just said, meet on Front Street, downtown Harrisburg at noon, which is directly across the street from the Harrisburg Capitol in PA. And you could see the Capitol standing at it. And I just waved my sign and got some beeps and stuff. And then 2 comrades showed up. So it was really nice. And one had signs and one had a big Palestinian flag. So I was there 3 hours and it was freezing. I couldn't feel my hands or feet, but I just kept on waving.
Yeah, imagine.
What's that?
I said, I imagine, yeah.
It was so cold, but you know what? It's not as cold as it is in Palestine. And I was just like, you know, it's Veterans Day and you have all these fucking people who are like, God bless veterans and we need to respect our veterans. And then they're fucking trying to create more of them. Explain that, you know, how the fuck does that even make sense? So I got, what's that?
It's a good point.
Yeah, like if you really care about veterans, let's stop creating them. Let's just stop this shit because so we got over 30 beeps. We got 2 fingers, but I don't care because over 30 beeps, and those beeps were like beep 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 beep. Like each person was like a lot of beeps, but I'm counting them separate. But the people who beeped were really hype that we were out there, like really hype. And then I hope I don't cry. But so I was, and I met this person on Twitter, just so you know. I didn't even know they lived in the same general area. So that was pretty rad. Their name is Jason. So they came up from Lancaster, which is about, I don't know, 45 minutes or something. And we're standing there waving, you know, the sign and flag. And an Arab family came up to us. And the mom/wife said, we saw you out here supporting Palestine, and we went and got some treats to bring them back to you. And they presented us with like baked goods and bottled water. I'm going to cry. And basically, she made a statement implying she appreciates us doing that for her and for them. And the way I took it is though, we're fucking white. We have that privilege. Like my best friend is an immigrant from the Middle East. She's not fucking comfortable. Understandably. It's my responsibility to get the fuck out there and do this for her. And it really, like, my privilege was never, I was just never so aware than in that moment when she was basically alluding to the fact that they weren't safe doing it themselves. And she appreciated us doing it, like being their voice in a way. And I thought, oh my God, yes. Like, yes. It was just really beautiful, really powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. I wanted to show a quick sign that really stood out to me yesterday at the protest. So someone had a sign that says, Jewish and Palestinian, blood in my body. Am I only part animal then? In response to the fact that, yeah, they have been referred to by Israeli leaders as animals. And so,
I was thinking about that earlier today. You know, can you fathom, how people would react if Palestinians, even Hamas, came out and said, you know what, Israelis are human animals. They are children of dark. They are children of darkness. We are children of the light. Can you imagine how people would lose their shit? But it's okay because they're saying it about the black and brown people.
Right.
Totally cool.
Right. Exactly. So one of the people who I think has been killing it as of late is Norman Finkelstein. Is it Finkelstein?
Oh my God.
I think it's Finkelstein.
I think it's Finkelstein.
Yeah.
But no, it would be Stein. Yeah, Stein. Finkelstein.
Yeah.
I've watched this video like 10 times and I cannot get enough of it. He is a fucking king, man. And whether you've
this
seen
is
this
one of
or
the
not,
videos that this was a while ago. You'll see he looks, it's considerably younger, but it's definitely has aged well and is very, very topical. So
follow him on
we'll
Twitter
play
because
it.
man, he has some zingers.
Hi.
Yes, he had a really good jive at Ben Shapiro today, which was great, where he was like, maybe I should re-enroll in college so that Ben can agree to debate me.
And someone in the comments was like, no, just third grade.
All right. So this is him speaking at a university. Do you remember what university this was?
I couldn't read the sign. There's a sign on the podium, but I couldn't make it out.
Yeah. Okay.
It's definitely a white one.
Yeah. So yeah, this is now, I guess, a question Q&A time, and so this is what one of the students asks him.
Go ahead.
Hi. During your speech, you made a lot of references to Jewish people as well as certain people in your audience, not Jewish people in general, but certain people, especially in your audience, to Nazis. Now, that is extremely offensive when certain people are German, and they're also extremely offensive to people who've actually suffered under Nazi rule.
I don't respect that anymore. I really don't. I don't like and I don't respect the crocodile tears to the crocodile tears. No, I'm sorry, folks. Allow me to finish and allow me to finish. Listen, sir. Allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Sir. I don't like to play before an audience the Holocaust card. But since now I feel compelled to. My late father was in Auschwitz. My late mother, please shut up. My late father was in Auschwitz. My late mother was in Majdanek concentration camp. Every single member of my family on my father's side,
The Jews did not take arms against the
my
Germans.
late father was in Auschwitz concentration camp. My late mother was in Majdanek concentration camp. Every single member of my family on both sides was exterminated. Both of my parents were in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. And it's precisely and exactly because of the lessons my parents taught me and my two siblings that I will not be silent when Israel commits its crimes against the Palestinians. And I consider nothing more despicable than to use their suffering and their martyrdom to try to justify the torture, the brutalization, the demolition of homes that Israel daily commits against the Palestinians. So I refuse any longer to be intimidated or browbeaten by the tears. If you had any heart in you, you would be crying for the Palestinians, not for what's being done.
But wait, watch this comment he gives.
It's great.
What?
Can I just calm the audience?
I've never been in a crowd like this. They're nuts.
Oh my God, he is a king. Oh my God, I have goosebumps and I've watched it like 10 times and I Oh my God,
Yeah.
that is the kick-ass speech of a lifetime. That girl just kept going. And like, she's like, that is extremely offensive of people with Jewish descent. Like, she's not talking about herself. She's talking about, like, she's trying to make it like, you know, I'm this fucking, like, you know, fucking, what do you call it? Justice warrior or some shit. Like, oh my God, he schooled her ass. It is crocodile tears. Stop. You don't care. And we're hearing Norman's message from thousands of Jews right now saying, not in our name. There is nothing more anti-Semitic than using the pain and experience of those people to try to justify doing something comparable. And we're hearing that over and over. There are millions of Jews across the world who have been marching, calling their reps, doing everything they can to do, at the bare minimum, a ceasefire now. And you know what? Shout out. I don't know if you have this up, but today there were rabbis for a ceasefire in DC. Legit, hundreds of rabbis came from all over to DC to do a sermon, a speech, and a march. And they played music as well. Incredibly powerful. Incredibly. So these are not just Jews. These are people in the actual, you know, who we consider like pastors and priests. Like, these are people who are higher up, who are telling you, they speak to hundreds of people every single week about how, lack of a better term, they should live their lives and what kind of lessons they should take. And they're going to DC to tell everyone this is not okay. And that is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things that I really I respect from Norman Finkelstein is that, or Stein, is that he is, you know, one tactic is just suppression of speech in a way of just shouting over you and interrupting you. And he just was able to just dominate over and be like, no, you listen to me, right? Which I think is great, because when people have no real way to argue, they try and just suppress what you're saying. And so
how disgusting. First of all, the girl that asked the question kept her mouth shut except for sobbing. And then that dude in the crowd just stands up like yelling at him. So let me get this straight. You're saying you're defending Jews when you are literally cutting off someone who just said his family on both sides were massacred during the Holocaust. You're cutting him off from speaking because you're saying you're sticking up for Jews. How does that make sense? So, and you know, I love the fact that Norman was like, all right, I hate to pull the Holocaust card, because it's true. He gave how many speeches and everything like that without ever even saying his history. And that Q&A was after a podium or a panel. It was after it. He hadn't even mentioned it. So it's not even like, and I have so much respect for that. It's not even like he's exploiting it, you know, and using it to be like, you shouldn't. And I'm not saying I would care if he did, but I think it's really important that that's how offensive this girl's comment was, that he's like, okay, no, here's my background. He is such a badass.
Yeah. No, for sure. So, this is a video. So the caption is Max Blumenthal. A wave of new eyewitness testimonies indicate Israel killed many of its citizens on October 7th with tanks and Hellfire missiles, then exhibited their bodies as proof of Hamas's savagery. Propango breaks down my latest investigation in this excellent explainer. Have you Do you know who Propaganda and Co. is? Or is it the first time you're seeing them?
I have heard of them. I wasn't following them or anything, so I did look into them, and we have a lot of mutual follows. And it seems like they have a lot of good respect and commentary. Have you followed them before?
No, this is the first time I've heard of them. So yeah, I'm
Same.
curious.
It was sent to me, and they're like, I follow him all the time, blah blah blah. And normally I'd be like, I want to look into him more because you know I have my issues with Max as well. But you know what this guy says, he does back up with articles and videos. Okay. So since there are tangibles involved, you know, we're gonna play it. If for some reason there is some, even if it's not in this video, if for some reason this guy is not to be trusted or what have you, please put it in the comments because then I'll know.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
Have you seen this video?
Inside, we found 8 babies burned in this corner.
An Israeli soldier conducts an interview in front of a destroyed home of a kibbutz. He says Hamas fighters burned babies and then beheaded them. But this is all a lie, and I'm going to prove it to you using Israeli media. Yes, that is right, Israeli media. But first, let's ask an important question. How did the concrete walls of this home behind the soldier turn into rubble? Fires burn wood and other flammable items. They do not collapse concrete structures like this.
Children in the same room, then someone come and kills them all. 15 girls and teenagers that put in the same room, 3 hand grenades, and it's over. This is a massacre.
Now, the Israelis want you to believe that Hamas fighters did this, but we know that they were only armed with machine guns and small grenade launchers. That doesn't cause this level of damage. So then how did they destroy concrete homes like this? The answer is they didn't. The Israelis did. What? That is shocking. But why? And how would the Israelis do that? Well, Israeli media has all the answers. They interviewed the IDF soldiers who responded to the Hamas attack, and they learned something shocking. The IDF was struggling to handle the Hamas fighters. Tuval Escapa, or however you pronounce his name, a member of the security team for Kibbutz Be'eri, set up a hotline to coordinate between kibbutz residents and the Israeli army. He told the Israeli newspaper Haaretz that as desperation began to set in, the commanders in the field made difficult decisions, including shelling houses on their occupants in order to eliminate the terrorists along with the hostages. These reports indicate that orders came down from the military's high command to attack homes and other areas inside Israel, even at the cost of many Israeli lives. According to Haaretz, the army was only able to restore control over Be'eri after admittedly shelling the homes of Israelis who had been taken captive. The price was terrible. At least 112 residents were killed, according to the paper. Others were kidnapped. Now, much of the shelling in Be'eri was carried out by Israeli tank crews. As a reporter for the Israeli Foreign Ministry-sponsored outlet I-24 noted during a visit to Be'eri.
Small and quaint homes bombarded or destroyed. Children's toys lying around, well-maintained lawns of grass ripped up by the tracks of an armored vehicle. Perhaps a tank. Perhaps a tank. Perhaps a tank.
In other words, the IDF, in an act of desperation, decided to just kill everyone, including hostages. This is their words, not mine. In fact, Yasmin Porat, an attendee of the Nova Music Festival, who fled into the kibbutz, told Israeli radio that when Israeli special forces arrived during a hostage standoff, they, quote, eliminated everyone, including the hostages, because there was very, very heavy crossfire.
כי היה שם חילופי ירי מאוד מאוד קשים, חילופי אש מטורפים, אפילו 2 פקדים של טנק שירו לתוך הבית, שזה בית קיבוצי קטן, זה לא איזה, רואים את זה בחדשות.
She goes on to describe how Hamas militants tied her partner's hands behind his back. She saw her partner lying on the ground, still alive. She went on to say that Israeli security forces killed him and other hostages as they opened fire on the remaining militants inside, including with tank shells.
ובן הזוג שלך שהיה איתך? נהרג. הוא גם נהרג. כן, כולם נהרגו שם.
This is why you see large bits of shrapnel and bullet holes in the walls of destroyed kibbutz homes. It's why you see homes turn into rubble. And sadly, it's why you find severely burnt bodies of Israeli hostages. But there's more. The IDF also used Apache attack helicopters. In an interview with Israeli media outlet Mako, an Apache pilot admitted that many of the cars he fired rockets at contained hostages. But wait, there's even more. Israeli security forces also opened fire on fleeing Israelis whom they mistook for Hamas gunmen. A resident of Ashkelon named Danielle Rachel described nearly being killed after escaping from the Nova Music Festival when it was attacked by militants. As we reached the roundabout at a kibbutz, we saw Israeli security forces, she recalled. We held our heads down because we automatically knew they'd be suspicious of us in a small beat-up car from the same direction the terrorists were coming. Our forces began shooting at us. Lastly, let's discuss how an IDF commander ordered an airstrike on his own position. The very first target the Palestinian fighters attacked was the Erez checkpoint. The attack was so fierce that the IDF commander, Avi Rosenfeld, in an act of desperation, he called for an airstrike on his own position. The IDF bombed their own base in order to kill the Palestinian militants. So what should we take from all this? Do we absolve Hamas of their actions on October 7th? Of course not. None of this would have happened had they not attacked. Now, whether or not they have the right to resist occupation and apartheid with the use of force is a topic for another video. But the point of this video is to highlight how the IDF's poor response and performance led to the deaths of their own people. As several Israeli hostages have already made clear, the Palestinian militants were kind to them despite the aggression. And as the Nova survivor Yasmin Porat put it, she believes the militants didn't want to kill them. She believes their goal was to take them back to Gaza as hostages. The entire point of the attack seems to be the capturing of Israelis as hostages in order to trade them for thousands of Palestinian political prisoners. And in the chaos that ensued, many people lost their lives. Now, some people say, who cares how it went down? People died. Babies died. Is that not awful? Well, of course it is. But the reason we have to cut through Israeli propaganda is because it's being used to justify acts of genocide in Gaza. Israelis believe deep down to their core that their babies were beheaded and that their women were raped and tortured before being killed. And this simply isn't true. And even with Israeli media reporting the facts, they may never change their minds. But the rest of the world needs to know the truth, because it is the world that has given Israel the green light to commit acts of atrocity in Gaza. And there's growing concern of an escalation that may erupt into a greater regional conflict. So share this video and help spread the facts. The world deserves to know the truth. And without you, that'll never happen. RIP to all those who lost their lives, especially the thousands of innocent children in Gaza, incurring the wrath of a misled population. Free Palestine.
How about that? Absolutely not shocking, but infuriating. And finally, the White House and the Israeli PM has come out and acknowledged that the death toll is likely much higher for Palestinians. Like, no shit. 10,000 people? Have you seen the fucking footage? Have you seen the photos? There is no way in hell that is only 10,000 people. It's just not possible. Mm-hmm. They're saying it could likely be double. And then I always include all the over 6,000 people who were murdered by Israel prior to October 7th. And, you know, he brought up the political prisoners, Palestinian ones being held in Israel. There are 7,300 of them. And they have been there for years. So, yeah. So there's some, and I love the fact that these tangibles were from Israeli media. So they themselves are saying this is what happened, you know, and it doesn't look good for them. Mm-hmm. It's just, oh God, like the internet is the worst thing to happen to Israel right now, because this, it's just so bad. It's disgusting. And every single day, like one of the things I keep posting about is there are over 50,000 Palestinian women who are pregnant right now. Over 50,000. Wow. And you know what? They just blew the hell up the damn hospital, the OBGYN hospital that delivers thousands of babies every year. They just blew it up. That is, like, think about it. Genocide. Let's kill all the babies so they can't get older and procreate. Let's kill the women having the babies so they can no longer procreate. Like, think about it. Like, it's so fucking obvious. They want to stop their bloodline. They want to stop Palestinians. And it's so frustrating because when are people finally going to acknowledge this is genocide? Because I saw a friend of the show, Steven Donziger, he posted yesterday that given the ratio of people who have died, even that 10,000 number, even though they said it's likely double, okay, and that's not including the 6,000 prior to October 7th, even 10,000, okay, with that ratio of 10,000 to 2.2 million people who live in Palestine, that is something like 453 9/11s. So we need to stop people are comparing it to 9/11 and stuff, and I get some of it, but like if you're going to compare it to them, let's think about how we all felt when that was happening, and now let's magnify that and multiply it hundreds of times over. So yeah, I mean, what's this going to take before people acknowledge they are trying to wipe out Palestinians? And now, yay, we're bombing Syria. We always have been, but now it's heightened, which is awesome. And I've been doing a lot of call-ins, like spaces on Twitter with Millennials Planning. I'm doing one on my Twitter on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Eastern, excuse me. And what that is you can ask to speak. And then we have a discussion, and then we let in the next person, and so on and so forth. It's not video, it's just, verbal. And we've been having a lot of people from Gaza call and join and talk to us. And there was a gentleman last night who called from South Africa, and he said, I'm disgusted by the United States. And he went on this huge thing about, and it was totally valid, because he's like, my people have been through this with you. Now Palestinians are going through this with you, and Syrians are going through this with you. And he's fucking right. And lately, if I get hate, oh well, look, I'm one of many who are in this place right now where we are feeling shame to be in this country right now. I am ashamed of my country. I am. That is a genuine feeling that I don't even want to be like, I'm from the United States. No, what we're doing right now is enabling and contributing to genocide. That is not what I believe in, and that's not what millions of us believe in. So no, I don't have pride right now of where I am. That's for damn sure.
And speaking of just, more civilians dying, right? This was from a yesterday tragic update from Al Shifa Hospital with a doctor killed and others pinned down by IDF fire. Dr. Hammam Aloy, physician in nephrology at Al Shifa Hospital, has been killed by an airstrike this morning with his father in their house next to Al Shifa Hospital. His mother, who is also a doctor, Dr. Haifa Al-Sarraj, is trapped with other relatives, including children, in the vicinity of the house. They are unable to move, and any attempt to move comes under heavy Israeli fire. One relative is also currently alive and trapped under rubble. They have been in touch with the Red Cross, who are unable to evacuate them. The Israeli Defense Forces need to cease fire in the Abu Hasira neighborhood so they can be safely evacuated. And so before his death, Dr. Haman Malloy actively updated the press about the situation in Al Shifa Hospital, including to CBC, Democracy Now!, The Australian, and Jewish Currents. So yeah, definitely keep.
And below this, there's a picture and a clip from Democracy Now!
Yeah. So here, we'll play this.
And if I go,
why don't you go with your family south?
and if I go, who treats my patients? They are not animals. They have the right to receive proper health care. Do you think I went to medical school and for my postgraduate degrees for a total of 14 years, so I think only about my life and not my patients? I'm asking you, ma'am, do you think this is the reason why I went to med school? To think only about my life? This is not the reason why I became a doctor.
Why don't you go with your family south?
And he was fucking murdered along with his family. And, you know, the thing that really just, I like went off on Twitter because I started thinking about that. And I started thinking about, like, okay, you're trapped under rubble. What is the first thing you do? You try to get out. You stick your hands out. You scream for help. But then anyone who tries to help you is being shot at. So that is a slow and painful death. You will not be able to breathe anymore. You will have, you know, no food, no water, even more so than they don't now. And you're literally dying. And you're buried alive, essentially. That was targeted. He lives right next to the hospital. He was targeted.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just very sad, you know, it's when you hear an interview like that, right? And then, you know, you hear how he's putting others first, right? It really is just.
Which makes him very dangerous to them, which is obviously why they killed him.
Yeah. Yeah. So Nordstream pipeline updates. Let me go. Oh, where is this? Here it is. So WP exclusive. I'm going to share it in a second. So it's been found that Ukrainian military officer coordinated Nordstream pipeline attack. So yeah, Joy, what do you have to say about that?
I thought it was very interesting because so many of us have said the Nordstream pipeline terrorists, like we've been talking about that since it happened. And here, going under the radar, it finally comes out that, yeah. Do you want to read like the first like paragraph or two?
It's a screenshot.
Oh, I didn't realize I just sent the screenshot. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you guys want to read the whole thing, it's on my Twitter. But yeah, I thought that was super interesting that just kind of went under the radar right now.
That's usually how it works, right? Like they come out and report it, but it's during a time where the tension is off, so that a lot of people don't catch it.
This is perfect for anything like that. Perfect. It's like come out with like anything you have hidden to the side now and then be like, well, I reported on it.
Yeah, exactly. You can't say you didn't. You just
right
waited at a tactful time to do so.
Right.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. All right, so now we've got an interesting, funny
I mean, it's funny comparatively speaking. I mean, it's funny because I hear my impression when I watch it. Oh, by the way, speaking about Ukraine, did you see how our man Zelensky just asked Trump to come visit him?
I did not see that. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He's like, Trump, come see me. Because Trump said if he gets elected, he'll end the war and give Zelensky all the money he wants and blah, blah, blah. And Zelensky has his fifis hurt because we're, giving all the money to Israel, and he wants more money to blow people up as well. So, Trump was like, hey, if I get elected, I'll give you all the money, blah, blah, blah. And then Zelensky heard about it, and he's like, Trump, come on, let's meet. Let's get together. So, yeah, they're buddies. Now what you think, shit libs? Now what?
All right. So
I think it's always important to look around the room and then ask who's not in the room, and then figure out how to bring them in. And often, and all of the leaders here know, often it's not just because you might leave the door open. That's not enough. You got to go out to where folks are, literally where they are, be it where they are geographically or where they are in terms of what they're bringing in terms of life experience to the moment, to be able to connect with them and bring them in. I think it's always important to look around the room and then ask who's not in the room.
I feel like I just listened to a nonprofit CEO.
It's like, I'm going to tell you something, okay? Look in the room and see who's not in the room, okay? It's like, dude, I minored in philosophy. This is not philosophical whatsoever. Yeah. It's literally you drunk or on pills or something. I don't know what she does, but she's never lucid. And she says these things like, we all made fun of Buttigieg for saying his stupid, word salad things. Well, this chick's incoherent. Like, she is, wow. So on that note, I hate to talk about this because I'm so grossed out by electoral politics, but last Tuesday was the first time I even voted in 25 years. Did you vote?
Yeah, I did.
Did you have anyone good, like locally or anything?
Yeah, there were a few people who were okay. There were people who were absolutely terrible. I mean, there was nobody who I was like, woo, but I was like, I'll vote. Just, yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're less than a year away from the big one. Pretty much everyone with a brain knows that Biden is going to lose. And, all these articles are coming out now that's like, college kids have sworn they won't vote for Biden. Yeah, because the thing they're most passionate about is the environment. Hello? Mm-hmm. Or like in Michigan, they have the highest Arab population in a state. They're all like, no, and they're a swing state. I'm in Pennsylvania. My state's going to Trump again. I can guarantee you that. He's going to lose, and I'm saving all of those polls. I'm bookmarking them like every fucking day on Twitter. They did polls in 6 of the swing states yesterday, and Trump was ahead of Biden by 6 points in every single state. Do I bank on polls? Absolutely not. 97% chance Hillary's going to win. She lost, but shit libs do go by polls, so I am saving all those for when he loses, so they can be like, I can't believe you didn't vote for Biden, and I'll say, I don't fucking care. I didn't vote for him last time either.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a fuck. I'm not selling my soul. Fuck that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So what do you got coming up?
Okay, so Wednesday night on Twitter Spaces, I'm gonna create it tonight. Like I said, you know, it's not video or anything. If you want to join the conversation, you just press a button that says request to speak, and then I get a little ding, and I can let you join the conversation, and we can just talk. It is going to be about Israel Palestine. But like I said, the past few times, people in Gaza have come to join, and it's intense because you can hear explosions in the background. You can hear drones flying over. You can hear commotion. The past few times, Gazan journalists have called in and talked about some of the things they're seeing and about all of the journalists who are being murdered, things like that. So it's very intense conversations, but I've learned so much. So definitely tune in. That's Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitter. And Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. I have to set my alarm for this one. I'm going back on Due Dissidents, and I'll be talking about East Palestine in Ohio. That tape, that recording I released, where I recorded the head of the East Palestine EPA for 91 minutes, giving all kinds of useful information for the lawsuits against Norfolk Southern. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So yes, also I started using Instagram, so follow me there. I have like a few followers, so I'm just going to see if I can get more followers and then start posting there. Savage Joy Marie 1, I believe it's the same exact thing on Insta. Do you have an Instagram, Andrew?
Yes.
Do you want to make it public or no?
No.
Okay. Andrew's private. I'm like, hey everybody. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you have a few bucks, I do have Buy Me a Coffee, Savage Joy Marie 1. It's basically, instead of doing a Patreon every single month, what it does is it's $5 for a cup of coffee. If you're like, cool, I like this show, I'll buy her a cup of coffee, or I'll buy her 2 cups of coffee or whatever. And then it just helps me pay for my streaming fees and equipment and all that fun stuff. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe, and smash the share. Much love.